Welcome to tonight's edition of Under the Bleachers. Chris Ransom, Brandice, and then there were two teams left in this playoff. We started with 12. There are only two remaining. The 8-seed Ohio State Buckeyes, who lost two games to Oregon by a point, and Michigan at home, and Notre Dame, who lost to Northern Illinois. This is our national championship. Buckeyes fighting Irish. It's ironic because those teams met 20 years ago in the Fiesta Bowl when you had A.J. Hawk and Brady Quinn playing against each other. And now 20 years later, 2 decades later, they are meeting for the national title in the first 12-team college football playoff. I do think Ohio State's defensive line with Tui Maloau, Sawyer, Ty, it's a very good defensive line Ohio State has. I'll say that. The two defensive tackles. Brandice, what were your thoughts on the college football playoff semifinals? Okay, your audio's not working, Brandice. Your audio's not working.
Hey, can you hear me?
Now I hear you perfectly.
Okay. I couldn't unmute for a while. It was weird. The button wasn't clicking. It's been an interesting college football playoffs, and I knew it was going to be like in the beginning when we were all talking. I think we all kind of had our predictions, and we all guessed who would end up here. I think you maybe, and I can't remember if William was high on Ohio State in the beginning, but I wasn't as high on them as maybe I should have been. They are a tried and true program, though. And I mean, I guess in the end, when you know how to win and you know how to get to a championship game, that's kind of invaluable. I'm super proud of Notre Dame, especially with, Marcus Freeman being the first African-American head coach to coach in the college football playoff championship. That's a huge deal. Obviously sad that they knocked out my Bulldogs, but it is what it is. They didn't have the best luck with Carson Beck getting injured, so it is what it is.
That Ohio State-Texas game was very entertaining. I'll go through the Penn State-Notre Dame game first because that game, it went back and forth, and then Notre Dame gets the game-winning field goal at the end. I'm kind of glad. I have a great disdain for Penn State as an Ohio State fan. I think it's probably due to the Joe Paterno, Jerry Sandusky scandal back in 2012, but I've had a great disdain for Penn State ever since. I dislike them almost as much as I dislike Michigan. So, but that's neither here nor there. Penn State, Ohio State's going to play Notre Dame. Notre Dame, one of my 5 favorite colleges to watch as a fan, but not my absolute favorite. But I am happy for the Fighting Irish. I'm happy for Marcus Freeman. I'm happy for a lot of the guys on that team. Watts and Morrison, a lot of Riley Leonard, a lot of players in Notre Dame worked really hard. Tyleik Hamilton, the Ohio State defensive tackle. Tyleik Williams, I'm not sure, but Ohio State's got a really strong defensive line. I mentioned that already. They've got great receivers. If Morrison's out for this game, I'm not sure how Notre Dame's corners are going to contain Smith, Carnell Tate, and Egbuka. It's just a trio unlike anything you've seen before. And I don't think Ohio State's going to go after any big names in the portal because they have Julian Sayin, who's been redshirting this year. He'll probably take over next season, if I had to guess, and he'll be a freshman redshirt. And Bryce Underwood will be a true freshman at Michigan. But there's also the possibility Ohio State's true freshman recruit competes with Sayin, but I would think Sayin, with that experience, would be the starter next year, and he'd have a lot of weapons to work with in the passing game. Even if Ohio State does lose both running backs, Judkins and Travion Henderson, Ohio State's in a very good spot right now.
Yeah, I think that I was glad to see that Texas didn't make it just because, this is kind of selfish of me, but I don't like when SEC teams make it to the championship game and it's not Georgia. I would have been okay with it over like Alabama, obviously, but it was just a very, very talented quarterfinals, talented semifinals also. So I think that the way in which the playoffs have been configured is really making it obvious to people in a way that wasn't the case before, that you could go anywhere and get to, you know, the playoffs if you're a talent, and the talent has been being spread around a lot better than it was, you know, in, I'd say, the Saban era. So it's good to see, because I mean, how many more years could we see like Georgia versus Alabama, or, you know, Ohio State versus Michigan? Like, it's really nice to see some teams playing that we'd never seen before on this big of a stage. I was thoroughly disappointed with Boise State. I know you guys talked about this when I wasn't on the other week, but I think that, like I was telling William, that some people, they kind of lucked up and kind of got where they were. I think Notre Dame proved that they were supposed to be there, that one loss was indeed a fluke. And I'm excited to see what's going to happen. I'd like for them to win. That's my team. But I'm also really kind of okay with it either way, because I don't have any attachment to either of these teams.
Yeah, and for Notre Dame, this feels like a window of opportunity they may not get again in the future. Whereas Ohio State, they've got the number one recruit at receiver in 2026, Chris Henry Jr., son of former Bengals receiver Chris Henry. They've got Jamian Brown in the 2027 class. So the number one receiver in 26 and 27 have already committed to Ohio State. And in 2028, Jet Harrison, the younger brother of Marvin Harrison Jr., he's not committed to his school yet, but I would think Ohio State's probably going to get him. Syracuse could get him too. And remember, Marvin Harrison Sr. did play at Syracuse. So back in the 90s, before Peyton Manning and Marvin Harrison made a lot of magic memories with the Indianapolis Colts. So it's possible Jet Harrison goes to Syracuse, or he goes to an SEC school, or he goes to Ohio State. Jet Harrison could end up at Georgia. It's very possible. He could also end up at Penn State, because Jet Harrison's high school is in Pennsylvania. So there are a lot of possibilities for Jet Harrison. But I think right now, if you're Ohio State, you have to be thrilled that you're getting Tate and Smith back next year. And then you're only going to add to that talent pool once Tarnell Tate goes pro in 2026. You're only going to add to that pool with these young receivers that you're getting in the recruiting rankings. So it feels like Ohio State is a 4 or 5 year window, but getting that championship now allows you to attract better recruits moving forward, and it's only going to continue that window for Ohio State. And I think part of it's not just Ryan Day, it's Brian Hartline, the former Ohio State receiver. He's done a terrific job as the wide receivers coach, assistant head coach, and you got Chip Kelly there too. So they're building a foundation at Ohio State that's going to put this program in very strong position for years to come. And I don't know, it feels like both Ohio State and Penn State are going to be the top two next year, but it's very early. I do not want to cross that road yet.
Yeah, I mean, it's one thing I can say about this year, you never know. You just don't know. They did not, to me, you know, Will Howard start off very strong this year. And I think they always kind of had the pieces. And sometimes it really is a testament to good coaches. You know, this playoff season really showed you the importance of good coaching. I love how aggressive Marcus Freeman is being going on fourth down. The defense not letting up, being super physical in a way that you haven't seen from a lot of teams in the league. And with Ryan Day, I think that he knows how to coach, and he knows who to put in position and when the adjustments needs to be made. Because I've learned from coaching myself that the biggest piece of coaching that people don't understand, you can know all the X's and O's, but to know when to adjust, when to switch gears, you know, just because something should be working, it may not work. To know when, you know, your run game might be super strong, but guess what? They know that, and they've planned for that. So, what are you going to do when you can't use the things that you thought you were going to use, those kinds of abilities. And then more importantly, knowing when to go get the pieces you need. Some people kind of came out very strong in this transfer portal season and picked up some really good players. So I was surprised to see some of the people leave that did leave. Carson Beck, that's I mean, I get it. You want to go and play with your girlfriend, I guess, or play at the school that your girlfriend plays at. But yeah, a little shocker. I'm not weirded out because we knew that we were going to lose him, but I didn't think that was going to be his decision.
And yeah, he's probably a third, maybe a fourth in the 26 class. But if he does with Miami what Cam Ward did this year, maybe he rises up boards next year. We'll see. I'm not gonna go that far yet because I was not high on Beck myself, but we'll see what he does at Miami. And we will. So
I'm still here. I'm not sure what's going on. Just got a weird blackout. Been having some brownouts, something that I didn't really know what it was, but I got this like electrical device that kind of monitors what's going on with the electrical, and it was like, you're having a brownout. And I was like, what the hell is a brownout? So there's that.
Yeah. Did you watch any of the NFL playoff games? I know it's a little bit off topic, but outside of the championship college football and the NFL playoff games, I really don't know what else to talk about.
I watched a couple. I think my biggest takeaway, some of the games were a little boring to me. My biggest takeaway is that, the AFC is chock full of talent. The fact that the Ravens are playing in a wild card game is insane, it's just crazy. And then the fact that here you are over here in the NFC South, and all we had to do was beat a team that literally had won 4 games, and we couldn't even do it, the Falcons. So yeah.
Yeah, I mean, outside of the Commanders-Buccaneers game, a lot of the games were one-sided. They were blowouts. They were not competitive. Mm-hmm. I agree with that. I think the AFC is the stronger conference this year. By far and away, it's the stronger conference. But we'll see what happens there. What is the big what do you think is going to be the big addition in the offseason as far as coaching or a player going back or entering the portal? Because I know the recruiting cycle has already been open for a while. I know Belichick got a 4-star QB to transfer to North Carolina. So I am kind of curious to see what he can do with him, how he can develop him after Mike Vrabel took the Patriots job. I think that was interesting news as well. But it'll be fun to see what happens.
I think obviously what everyone's been talking about now is Deion going to try to follow his kids? It's just an interesting storyline. You can't deny it. It's just like Bronny and LeBron. Bronny, to me, was not ready to enter the NBA. But it's just a very interesting storyline when you've got somebody that was, such a talent in the NFL like Deion that goes on to coach, and now he's coaching his son, one in a, position, not that he played, but at quarterback, which is, obviously very high profile position. Will he be able to coach at the Raiders? Will he be able to coach at the Cowboys? Me personally, I don't want them to go to the Cowboys, because I think I was watching Shannon Sharp talk with Stephen A. Smith about the fact that Jerry Jones just isn't going to allow Deion to be Deion, because he'd steal the show. And it's true. It is true. But that kind of animosity, you don't need that coming in, trying to do something that historic. And then I also think, I don't think it'll happen, but I think they're trying to possibly make a play to get all of the kids. And when I say the kids, the triplets, if you will, Shiloh, Shador, and Travis, all on one team. I don't think it can happen. Like, if it does happen, like, you got to know that, like, there's people pulling strings to make it happen. You
You could
know?
get two of the three. I agree, Brandice. I don't think you can get all three, but you could get Shadur and Shiloh. That's realistic. You
Yeah.
could get both of them. I don't think I think if Dion goes to the NFL, he'll get Shadur and Shiloh, but he will not get anyone else. And if he went to Dallas, I could see him trading Dak to the Titans for the #1 pick and just blowing up the team. And it would cause so much drama. I don't think Dak deserves to be traded, but the drama it would cause would be incredible, Brandis. You have to admit the drama it would cause would be
Yeah.
entertaining as hell.
And that's the thing, we live in an era where, like, it used to be just football, 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 but now it's not. It's all about storylines and narratives and, like, who's dating who and, who said this on what show. And that has become the just as much as entertaining as the actual game itself. So I actually think that maybe he wouldn't necessarily throw Shiloh under the bus, but to be honest, the duo here that you'd want is Travis and Shador. You want to keep those two together. And Shiloh can go wherever he ends up. I just don't actually think Shiloh's good enough to play in the NFL just yet. That's my opinion.
I think that's fair enough, but like if you're the Raiders, how would you get? I think you would have to trade 2026 first and like a third in next year's draft in 2026 just to move up from 6 to 2, and then you'd probably have to give up a 27 first to get 27 first and multiple seconds to get Travis Hunter and a third this year or something. You'd have to give up a huge package like that to get both. And that would just destroy your draft capital. It's not impossible, but by getting both Shadur and Travis Hunter, you are crippling your draft capital for down the road in 26, 27. You're crippling it to where there's no return from where you're at.
Well, I think the only way it can happen this year is if somebody's stock drops a lot. And it's likely he's not going to want it to be his own birth son, but he practically calls Travis his son. I argue with Corey back and forth on this, but I actually think that Travis might go before Shador. Everyone thinks that Shador is going to be the #1 draft pick. I just don't know if that's true or not. Like, I wouldn't draft him over Travis. People say that receivers are a dime a dozen, and kind of, but not really. Like, there's been a lot of people that have entered the draft that were just absolute superstars, but it's so easy to fall at receiver. You get hurt, you get in some crazy car accident, you end up, saying something you shouldn't say online. There are some people that can come back from that. Quarterbacks, receivers can't. And unfortunately, he's already kind of embroiled Travis in a lot of this, the gossip and the crazy stories about, his fiance and all these things. I don't actually think it's going to deter him or lower his draft stock because I
Neither
think
do
he's
I.
fairly focused. But I do think that when you are looking at the players, Shador does come across a little bit more stable because of some of that drama. I actually think that the drama is like, it's stupid. I don't think it has anything to do with anything. I think people are just trying to kind of assign a narrative to a kid that is fairly like clean and doesn't have anything going, never really been in any trouble. That's like a huge deal. But again, I just think that these are kind of boring kids when you think about, like, they don't have like some sad sob story where, their dads weren't in their lives or their moms died, or, you know what I'm saying? They don't have that going for them. And the only reason I bring this up is because, draft is coming up and they like to highlight these stories.
We might do something fun next week. or whenever you and William are both here, I'm thinking we might do like a 1-round mock draft. I just want to pick your brains and see what you would do, what players you take. I would not go past the first round, but it's like I kind of am curious because I think the first 4 picks, I think Cam Ward's going to go to the Titans, and then the Browns, they could take Shedeur at 2. I think there would be a Rick, because I know the Browns Southwest scout loves Shedeur. He loves Shedeur more than the Bengals love Burrow. He thinks Shadeur's going to be better than Burrow, but Deion doesn't want him playing there. They could go Travis Hunter. They could go Abdul Carter, Penn State edge rusher. But I think the first 4 picks are going to be some sort of combination between those 4. Cam Ward, Abdul Carter, Shedeur Sanders, Travis Hunter, or whoever the Browns take it to will influence who goes 3 and 4. But I think those 4 are probably going to be the first 4 players picked if I had to guess right now. That's what it's looking like.
It's hard because I remember when we started the, college football season, everyone was talking about, Deion, he's not going to coach in the NFL. He's saying that he doesn't want to coach in the NFL. And I was like, yeah, he's saying those things. But the reality of the matter is that I think that Deion really enjoys being a kind of history maker. He likes the idea of no one has ever done this before. I'm doing it. And I think that what he's done, it's iconic, and what would be more iconic to not just make it to the NFL as a coach, but to be coaching your son or to be coaching both of your sons. That's insane, And I think that if someone offered him, he would buy it if he could figure out a way to get his son on his team. And I think that the allure of someone coaching or someone drafting Shedeur and then also being able to kind of get that boost with Deion just being the kind of force culturally that he is. No head coach really has that kind of cultural, say, where it's you may not even win any games, but people are coming just to watch the show. You know what I'm saying? Like no other head coach is got that kind of pull. There's a draw to that, even if you lose.
I agree. But that's going to do it for tonight's edition of Under the Bleachers. Next week, we'll recap the national title. Maybe we'll talk about some of the playoff games. Maybe we'll fire up a mock draft simulator. We'll see how we feel. But that's Brandice Bell. I'm Chris Ransom. We're signing off. Enjoy your Wednesday evenings.
Bye.